And hello everybody. Good to see you. Welcome to Flight Past. And this episode where we're going to continue our journey along the coast of Normandy. We've been looking at D-Day, the day of D-Day itself. We started here with Operation Tonga with the 6th Airborne Division, and we then came over to the west side. We looked at the operations of the 82nd Airborne and the 101st Airborne, and we've looked at Omaha Beach, and in the last stream we did a orientation flight along the beach of Omaha. So today I thought we would continue by looking at one of the key moments, specific moments on D-Day on Omaha Beach, and that is the first wave assault landing by Company A of the 116th Infantry Regiment of the 29th Infantry Division. I thought we would jump into the helicopter and we'll chat as we go along. I thought we'd start today actually in St. Lo, and this is for the reason that we need to just spend a little bit of time talking about the German defences on the day. So let's jump into the helicopter then, and we'll take off and just get my stuff sorted whilst I'm on the ground. It's on the flight. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I see that we've had a few new followers. I think we're on around about 11, I think, people now who follow the channel. The very early wise ones. And if you are new to the channel, then welcome. Make sure we're going the right way. We're going this way. This channel, for anyone who's new, who's watching, we used Microsoft Flight Simulator, as you can see, to have a look at some of the key moments in history. Not necessarily always going to be the Second World War. We will be looking at other parts of history. And we use it because in the recent years the simulation has got so good that it's using satellite imagery and in some cases photogrammic imagery to recreate the Earth in one-to-one. So it allows us to do things we couldn't do in real life, which is things like flying a Huey low level over sites of interest. And the imagery is so good that you can actually see bomb craters, you can see the remains of trench systems and things like that. So it gives us a unique perspective on the battlefield and allows us to really see the terrain, how they would have seen it and how it influenced decisions and things like that made on the day. We started off in St. Lo, and for the main reason that we're going to be talking about the Germans. And the reason why we're talking about the Germans, during the Allied planning, the main force that was defending the Omaha Beach was the 716th Infantry Division, which was a static defensive division. It contained probably half the troops were mostly Russians or Ukrainians, or what they called German Volksdeutsch. They usually had German Wehrmacht NCOs and officers. And they were believed to be in control of the defense of the Omaha Beach. And the 352nd Infantry Division, they were probably more capable. They were held back 19 miles at the place where we just took off from, which was San Lo. And they would believe that the Allied planners believed that these forces, these 352nd Infantry Division, would basically be sent to as a counter-attack measure. They were 20 miles back. They could probably get to wherever they needed to be within a day or so. But when Rommel took over, his philosophy was a much more aggressive. He felt that the Allies had to be stopped on the beaches. If you didn't stop them on the beaches, he believed, then you wouldn't stop them at all. So what happens is that there is a failure, I believe, in the D-Day planning, and these forces, the 352nd, actually get moved to the Omaha area in around March time. And they had taken over the responsibility for this defense of this area. And they took under their command the two of the battalions of the 726th Grenadier Regiment, which is part of this 716th Static Infantry Regiment. The area that they were put in charge of was called Coast Defence Sector 2, and it basically fell, included Omaha. It moved westward from Colville, so it includes Pont de Hoc. These were supported by the 1st and 4th Battalion of the 352nd Artillery Regiment, and they had something like 12 105mm guns and 4 150mm howitzers. And they had two companies of the 916th Regiment. They were forming a reserve, probably about 2 miles inland at a place called Formigny. So this means that the strength of the defense is higher than they were. And we can go now to sort of the planning sort of part of it, of D-Day. And it's interesting to note that the Royal Engineers team had been surveying the beaches, the sand and stuff like that prior to D-Day to assess whether the beach could support tanks. And they had reported, it was a guy called Captain Logan Scott Belden, and he reports that he had swum ashore from a midget submarine, collected samples on Omaha, and he had reported to Omar Bradley that in his view the assault on this beach Omaha was quite a formidable undertaking. And according to Scott Belden, Bradley had put a hand on his shoulder and said, "I know, my boy, I know." And this has led to a lot of conspiracy theories, basically, that they knew that these guys were going to be in trouble when they got there. Okay, so we're just heading up here. This is coming up on Pont de Hoc. This is the where the Germans had a artillery battery that could hit Omaha and the ships offshore. I thought it would be a good place we could start just to get it's over here somewhere. We just start here. We will do a talk about this place probably. This is where the Rangers attacked. They scaled the cliffs, and this is going to affect our part of the story down on Dog Green, because the 2nd Battalion Rangers, they had 3 companies. The first company went in here, and there was a backup company reserve that was waiting for a signal to say come to us. And because it was quiet, because actually the guns weren't here, the Rangers that were in reserve decided to not land here and then move to their predetermined secondary mission, which was to come down the coast to Dog Green. Let's not crash. It's always difficult flying over water. By the way, if you want to join me, you can. If you see me online live, I'm on the server. I'm Fly European West, and you can join and fly and join in. What we'll do is we'll just have a little discussion about the planning, and then we'll do a recreation of the move-in. I've got a copy of the general critique, which was after action report. It's in this book here called Normandy D-Day Landing Beaches by Major and Mrs. Holt. It's a battlefield guide, and in it it's got the after action report from the basically the few people who survived the day. So what I thought would be quite cool is we could read that almost word for word to get a feel for what happened on that day. It's the closest we can get to a first an actual primary source. It was written probably 2 to 3 days after the after D-Day. So here we are. We're coming up now on Omaha Beach, and what you can see, we remember our orientation. We've got a few strong points here. The first one coming up was Widerstandsnest 74, which is where this collection of buildings are in this area here. And 73 is just on this field here, and 72 across the other side there. I'm just going to pause here then, we'll jump out and I'll just show you where we're talking about, just to remind you. This section of cliff here, and we're talking to I believe this little bit of a bay here. This was called Charlie section, or Charlie sector. This is where the Rangers landed. They were obviously trained in scaling cliffs because they were one of the companies was doing the Pont de Hoc, and they were to attack up this cliff, these little draws here, attack W74, and then they were to basically move down this road here and join up with their guys at the Pont de Hoc over there. The second Rangers company that was going to support Pont de Hoc, but that moved down here, was going to come in and reinforce their fellow people here, but they actually get told by these beach coordinating boats that the beach they wanted to get into, Dog Green, was too risky, and so they were to come down to Dog White, which is this section here in the middle. But a company of the 116th were responsible for this section of beach here, and this is Dog Green. And what you actually have, a quick reminder, this is the Verville draw, designated D1 exit. Actually, I think it might be D4. I think it was one way around. I think there's 4 exits. And you've got WN 73 up here, 72 on the other side of the valley, 71 is up here, and in this area here was Widerstandsnest 70. So there's 4 strong points protecting this, because the Germans know that despite the beach being large and shallow, so it's good for landing stuff on, these bluffs and cliffs, they're not really cliffs here, but they're more like bluffs, are too steep for a tank to go up. So the Germans know that the draws are the main places to defend. So that's why you have 4 here. The other draw is called Les Moulins, and I'll just briefly go along. So that was Dog Green up here. This section here is Dog White, and this section here is Dog Red. And above Dog Red, we've got Widerstandsnest 69, and then back here, this is on this village, we've got 68, and then 67, and then 66 on this side of the draw. Down this side here, we then come to another draw. We have Widerstandsnest 65 on this side. These are the remains here. You can still see the remains of the trenches. And on the other side here, by the American cemetery, is Widerstandsnest 64. This section, by the way, with this draw here, you've got dog green on the right hand side and easy green on the left. This large section here, which probably is the whole of this, where you see the cemetery, is easy red. And then you have Widerstandsnest 62 is here on top of this this bluff here. You can still see the trenches, the zigzags. And then you have 63 is back here at Colville, protecting the approach to the village. And then you've got 61 on this side here, and 60 eventually up here. So this is Fox Red. You then have Fox Green and the Easy Red. Right, let's jump back in. So, how the Allies, we know that this side down here to the right, this side down here, was the responsibility of the 1st Division. And so they're on the easy, sort of easy red side, and on the on this side here is the responsibility of the 29th Division. So Omaha is actually trying to land over 30,000 troops on D-Day. It's a 2-division beach, whereas the other beaches were mainly 1 division. So organization-wise, we've got the initial assault here is made by basically on Omaha itself is by these things called regimental combat teams, and they were so the 116th and the 16th. The 116th was so it's supported by 2 tank battalions, and these infantry regiments, by the way, had 3 battalions in them of around about 1,000 men each, and each battalion was then also organized into 3 rifle companies of 240 men and 1 supporting company, or headquarters company, I suppose you could call it, of around about 190 men. So in American military, usually you can tell if it's A to D. In companies, they will belong to the 1st Battalion, and E to H to the 2nd Battalion, and I through to the M would be the 3rd Battalion, and they wouldn't use J. And if anybody knows why, they can tell me in the comments. I don't know why they won't use J. Maybe it's a radio thing. Tank battalions consisted of 3 companies, A through to C. Each had 16 tanks, and all of this is under the under the 5th Corps. So the plan was that our guys would they would land in the first wave. Sorry, the 116th would land 2 battalions first, and then 30 minutes later by a 3rd Battalion, and they were supported by the 743rd Tank Battalion, and 2 companies of which were these DD tanks, which were amphibious tanks that had a canvas surround that was waterproofed. H hour was designated as 6:30, and it was preceded by a 40-minute naval bombardment and a 30-minute aerial bombardment. So Bradley bragged, or tried, I suppose, even maybe knew what was going to happen, but lied, but said that these guys wouldn't see a better show. They're going to have front line seats for this bombardment. Each so A company, the 116th, was actually the 240 men were put into 6 landing craft, these Higgins boats. They're called LCAs. They were put into these boats probably at around about 2 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock they're sort of circling around, and they're basically waiting for dawn. And dawn was around about I think about 5:58 off the top of my head. I can't remember, something like that. And the idea was that these guys would go landing first, and then these engineers would follow up, and they would be clearing the obstacles. They're landing on a turning tide, so the obstacles could be seen, but did mean that they had to cross a large expanse of beach, and the engineers would then move up behind the assaulting infantry to remove the obstacles to allow further boats to land when the tide was coming in. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break, just get a glass of water, and I'll be back and we'll do the run-in of the... It'll only be a couple of minutes, and I'll be back to give the run-in of A company. If you like this kind of content, then please help out a small channel and give a like and subscribe. You can also check out my other channel, which is called ePiraten, which is doing some cathedral builds. They'll be up above these cards you'll see during the videos that I make. Please click a few of these, check them out and see if you like them, and I hope you do. I'm going to have a glass of water and I'll be back soon, so don't go away.